What's your opinion on marriage? Like, I really care about you. Do you know what we should do? We should get the fucking state involved and get lawyers. This is something that I run into a lot in LA, is like this problem of connecting with people, especially in like our industry. And I know that other people have this problem too. Everybody I talk to has this problem. What's your thoughts on just like connecting with people in general?
What I've found being a stripper is that a lot of girls will come off as dumb or like dumb themselves down in the strip club.
Yeah.
Only to find that in the locker room they are like this totally different person.
Yeah.
Because they think that that is what men want, is like to talk to like this dumb girl, like a girl that they can say anything to, that they're gonna be able to manipulate easily.
Yeah, for sure.
I think is like what the idea is. When in reality, these girls are not dumb. They're very intelligent, and they will even have like the bimbo type of look to them. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people associate that with a lack of intelligence. And in reality, these girls are super smart and have actually done that sort of look, knowing what people expect out of it and using it to their advantage.
Look, I thought this too. I mean, I've only been doing events for a couple of years, but I kind of assumed that women that were professionally good looking, I didn't think they would probably have a whole lot to say. One of the reasons why I started this podcast in the first place was I realized that a lot of these girls actually are super interesting. They're very insightful. They have a lot of cool stories about dating and about life, and just a very like unique perspective about someone who is like really good looking and has obviously like different relationships than like normal people. I know this sounds like really weird, but I feel like hot girl problems or successful people problems are different than like the average population. So I really wanted to get these conversations on a podcast because I think they're really interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, what I have found in my years of stripping are that at least customers that come to me want to just have a normal conversation with someone, and I've made a lot of my money just having normal conversations with people and not being super over the top. Even if that works for some girls, which is great, you should do whatever it is that works for you.
Yeah, there's definitely some men that are more attracted to that kind of like dumb girl.
Right, and some that are not, you know, and it's just you attract like whatever it is that you put out. So if you're doing what you like to do and it works for you, then do that and you'll find people who like what you're doing. Right.
Do you think there's some men that are kind of intimidated by smart girls?
I would say yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But generally more so in a setting where they're like trying to date them.
Yeah.
And not so much in a setting where they just think they're like hot or whatever, you know, where they're just like giving them money because they're in the strip club.
You don't think guys want to date smart girls?
No.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually think it's very similar. I think that women say they want an ambitious man. There's so much baggage that comes with that when you actually date an ambitious man, long term, oftentimes women do not want that. And same with men. They say they want a powerful woman or a smart woman, but there's a lot you have to deal with if you're actually dating somebody that is super smart.
Right.
How often do you ever watch like any of the red pill stuff? No. Fresh and Fit. You don't ever watch that?
Is this like a reality show? Is this like a YouTube channel?
No, it's kind of like the manosphere. How do I even describe it? It's a bunch of men.
Like, is this on 4chan?
No, it's not. I love that you know what 4chan is, but no, it's not 4chan. It's sort of like men's personal development. A lot of the information that's out there right now for men is like, be super masculine, date a subservient woman, like traditional conservative values, that kind of stuff. Don't date a woman that's like really successful, right? You want a young woman who is dependent on you for your money. Yeah, sort of, man. Groom is such a fucking nasty word, but yeah, kind of. That's kind of what they want, right? They want a woman that is impressed by your wealth and your job and your intellect. That's a lot of the like information that's out there for men right now.
Which is like great. if you are both wealthy and intelligent, as most people are not. If you genuinely have that to offer, then fire. Fuck yeah, I love that.
It's funny you say that, because one of the biggest criticisms for sort of red pill community is a lot of their advice is for sort of top tier men.
Right.
Most men are not top tier men.
Right. What if you're just like mid? What if you're a mid man?
Then you're fucked.
Right.
You're fucked.
You gotta fuck yourself then.
Yeah. You just gotta jack off.
But really, most people are not gonna fall into that upper echelon.
Yes.
Of anything, honestly. I would not consider myself to be top tier. I would say that I'm very mid.
Rate yourself, 0 to 10.
5.
5? Okay.
Like all things combined.
I feel like most average women today would rate themselves like a 9 or a 10. There's this idea that because women, it's easier for women to get male attention, like superficial male attention. A lot of women, even if they are actually a 5 or a 6, they still could potentially date an NFL player or, you know, a super wealthy guy. Not that that guy would ever date them long term, but the fact that they just dated maybe a A or B list celebrity. And when I say date, I mean maybe fucked a couple of times. They think that like they're on that level, and now they think they deserve that kind of a man long term, and that just is not the case.
I think that
names. If you date any celebrities, you can't.
No. I do not date people.
Period. I don't date people, period.
Period. End of sentence. Do not date people.
What's your longest relationship?
Ever. Like 5 years.
Okay, so you date people.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a different iteration of
that was a different Sadie.
That was a different Sadie.
Okay.
That was a different Sadie than you see sitting before you. I don't even know her.
Yeah.
Who was that? Anyway, I think that like the whole like rating yourself or like rating other people is hard, right? Because you could be like an NFL player or whatever and not, or like a superstar. You could be like one of the biggest names in the industry and be fucking crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm specifically
like
talking
a one-dimensional
about Kanye West.
A one-dimensional person.
I mean, he might not be one-dimensional. You know, he probably has many dimensions, but most of them.
But the other dimensions are dog shit.
But
right?
most of them are unwell.
Yeah.
Like he is someone that needs like genuine psychotherapy.
No, for sure. Yeah.
And if that is you, which like there's nothing wrong with mental health. I think that there are lots of people who really need counseling in mental health, and it shouldn't be like a taboo subject, but it should also be recognized that if you are one of those people, you need to seek out that therapy before you're bringing somebody else into your life.
There's this idea of min-maxing. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Let's say you are a very successful entrepreneur. Oftentimes those people are very driven in like one area of their life, but the other dimensions, like maybe their personality, their emotional control, their ability to be social and normal, those are at a 2 out of 10, right?
See.
So they're a 10 out of 10 financially, but they've allowed all the other aspects of their personality to kind of be underdeveloped. So this is like a one-dimensional person.
Right.
The idea of min-maxing is like, you should try to maximize all of the aspects.
Well-rounded.
Yeah, a well-rounded person, right? Are you social? Are you physically healthy? Are you financially healthy, right? There's all of these dimensions that you can kind of maximize. And then you're like a well-rounded person.
Right.
Instead of being famous and then just depending on that fame to carry you throughout life. Like Kanye West, right? Ultra famous, super artistic person, that's amazing. But as a partner, like probably a pretty difficult person.
I would imagine he would be very difficult to have as a partner.
Yeah.
I don't know though. You know, I don't know him personally. These are also just the things that you see in the media, and it's so difficult with people who are like super famous, or even people who are like D-list famous, who are just like famous on Instagram or famous whatever. Like you think that you know them because you see them so often.
Right, but you really don't know what this person is like.
But you really have no idea what they're like.
Yeah, this is their forward-facing personality, yeah.
And honestly, I don't know. I don't necessarily see a problem with having sort of like superficial relationships with people, sort of like surface level relationships with people. And in fact, have found in my life that it goes better for me personally to just have those surface level relationships. You go out and get a drink with somebody, you can like shoot the shit with them a little bit, and that's it. and then you can go about your normal ass life, and you don't have to worry about them, and they don't worry about you, and there's no deeper. I don't even want that.
Really?
No.
You don't think you want, like, there's this really sad statistic for men. They interviewed men and they said, if you had something like really serious going on, who could you call at 3 o'clock in the morning, like for something really serious? And the majority of men, the answer was 0, right? Occasionally they would have 1, even rarer was like 2. For women, it's usually higher. So this is kind of, the metric is like, how many people do you have a very close relationship with where you could call on them if you really needed something? And most people, it was no one. Do you think that is a bad thing? You're from the Midwest.
That I am.
I'm from the Midwest.
Yes.
Most people in the Midwest, although they have kind of a more simple life, they have tons of very close friends, right? They grew up in the same town. They probably married a girl that they went to high school or college with.
Yes.
Most of their friends are from high school or college, but they've known these people for years. They have very deep relationships with these people.
Right.
I think that people in California and also people in like our industry, it's more uncommon for those people to have like deep, long-term close relationships.
Yeah.
Is that cool with you?
Now that you like say it, let you describe it that way, if I were to like call on someone, like in the event that I needed something like that, you know, like something serious happened and like I really needed somebody to help me or whatever, it wouldn't be someone I met in California.
Right, it'd probably be someone from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, or like where I grew up, or yes. Even now, even if they live out here, like I have a friend that I went to college with, she lives out here now, but like I know that I could call on her if I needed something. But I guess saying that you're like a superficial friend doesn't necessarily indicate that you aren't like a good person, or that even if we are superficial friends that you couldn't call on me if you like really needed something.
But there's a difference,
We're
right?
not like talking to each other like every day.
Yeah.
Or we're not like the way that people describe like best friends. And even the friends that I would call on if I really needed something, I don't talk to them every day.
Yeah,
especially because they're from Pennsylvania. I talk to them like once a month, once a year.
Yeah, I think this is like a high performer problem. I think people that are more focused on success and performance, they have very little time to like foster deeper relationships. I think a lot of those deeper relationships are strictly because you've spent a ton of time with those people. And a lot of times high performers just don't have the time to go out and go to the bar with the same person over and over again, right? A lot of these people will just come over and like hang out. Like there's nothing to do, right? You just hang out with these people. You end up spending tons of time with them, and naturally a deep relationship develops. Whereas high performers, they almost always have something going on. So they have to kind of carve out a certain amount of time to hang out with people. And that time just isn't, they don't put an emphasis on spending time with people.
I think it's also about authenticity.
Tell me more.
I think that a lot of people are like nervous to show other people like who they really are.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like on the internet, I look really cool. I think people tell me that at least.
3 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? Yeah, exactly. In real life, yes. Like I don't have hobbies. I don't do things. Like if you see me on the internet, it's because I did that thing that one day and posted it for the next like 2 weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't do things.
Why not?
Because I don't want to. Because all I want to do is sleep all the time.
Do you think that if you had, look, I feel like whenever I have some really cool like guy friends, I feel like I'm pretty lucky insofar as like I've met a couple like really cool guys. Whenever I'm with them, we do cool stuff together.
Okay.
It's very unlikely that I'm gonna have a bad time like hanging out with them. Do you think if you had like more interesting people, you'd be a little bit more motivated to do fun things?
I have like some interesting people, but also I don't want to go out and do things. Like come over to my house, we'll watch TV and like drink or like smoke weed or something.
Yeah.
I don't really smoke weed that much anymore, but you can smoke weed or whatever.
So you're just a boring boring person. That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure to like be cool, especially out here in California, and like do cool
absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
Like have all these hobbies and like have all of these interests and be this like very deep, multi-dimensional. I'm not. No.
You don't think so?
No. I just do those things so that people follow me on Instagram. Thank you. So that hopefully you buy my content. As a cog in the capitalist machine.
Yeah, exactly. You're an interesting person just to drive traffic to your feetfinders.com.
Exactly. In real life, I'm very, very boring.
I don't know. Like I haven't had very many conversations with women where we get like pulled off topic into like historical stuff or evolutionary stuff. I know you have a degree in biology.
I just think that those things are like important to know. I like to know things. There are a lot of things that I could know more about and a lot of things that I could do better with. Like I could read. I do not read, actually. I probably have not read a book since I was in high school, which was a long time ago.
Bullshit, you have a biology degree. You had to do a shit ton of reading for that, right?
Well, kind of. I mean, textbook reading, I guess, but not like reading for leisure.
Yeah.
Not like reading for enjoyment. No, I have not done that.
So you must listen to like podcasts or...
I'll listen to podcasts occasionally.
What are you listening to?
The last podcast I listened to?
Joe Rogan.
No. I have listened to a couple of his podcasts. I listen to NPR in the morning sometimes and CNN.
God, you're a fucking nerd.
Yeah. They do like a 5-minute like news briefing just so I know like what's going on in the morning.
Yeah. What's your opinion on marriage?
I think that, you know, it can be really good depending on the person. It definitely ties you together via the state.
This is what bothers me about marriage. It's so weird to me that someone would say, baby, I love you. Like, I really care about you. Do you know what we should do? We should get the fucking state involved and get lawyers, write up some paperwork, get the government involved. This seems like such a weird institution. I get it that it's been around for a long time.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people think that, well, look, America is kind of fundamentally built around the nuclear family, right? We have to have some way to protect women who are going to bear children and are financially dependent on their husbands. There has to be some legal protections, right? If there's a divorce where the man has to pay them alimony, because if a woman's going to give up her ability to like have a job and forward her career, there has to be some protections there. So that makes sense to me. But I feel like now a lot of people just don't think that there's another option. They can't imagine being like a serious partnership without marriage. And I'm not sure the institution makes sense anymore.
Yeah, I would say that the institution probably does not really make sense anymore, aside from the idea if you have something worth giving to somebody that you really love and you want to make sure that they get it, right? Like, let's say that you are like a very wealthy individual. You may have a will written up or whatever.
But you can have a will without getting married.
You can have a will without getting married, but if you do not have, like, let's say that you have a will written up, but your next of kin is your mother and not your girlfriend.
Which you can write that person in, right?
You can, but it becomes, and I don't know, I guess maybe I don't know enough about a will to know that it is like the last say, but I would imagine that in the event that you had a will, like let's say that you want to leave everything to your girlfriend of like a year or something, and
right.
Your mother is your next of kin and she's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I imagine there would be a pretty significant legal battle over your estate.
I could see that, but I mean, I feel like this is
like a very rare occasion. This is like a one-off occasion. I would say, generally speaking, yes, that the institution of marriage is dead. People should probably not really get married anymore, unless you have children together.
Yeah.
In which case, like if something were to happen to you, then your spouse would immediately be your child's caregiver or whatever, which in some states, like if you are a woman that dies, in some states you, as a man, you might have to like battle for custody of that child.
Yeah.
California is probably not one of those states. California seems to be pretty good about like giving making sure children stay out of
Yeah, I
the
think
state.
California is much more, I think they generally side with women in courts.
Yes, they do generally side with women in courts, but I would imagine that they just want to place the child like with a parent at all.
For sure. Yeah. I think that men right now, I think men are getting more and more skeptical about what the benefit really is for them specifically. There's some statistics out there that say like around, I think 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And if you're educated, I think if you have a bachelor's degree, it's like 90%. So I think men see the statistic and they're like, why would I set myself up for failure? Really, I mean, imagine if somebody came to you and they're like, look, you have a 50% chance of financial ruin if you get into this relationship. If you bet on this, right? Right, there you go, right? You go to a casino, you go up to the fucking craps table and they're like, look, 50-50 chance of financial ruin. No one is gonna take that.
No.
So, and if the woman's educated, it's 90%. So, yeah, I think men are really skeptical right now about getting married. I'm not sure there's like a benefit to it. Or if there is...
If you really want to file your taxes together.
Yeah, fucking do it. Yeah, tax benefit, guys.
Or like, let's say one of you is like an independent contractor and one of you has a job where a company pays for your health insurance. And like you really want them on your health insurance. Then you pretty much have to be married to have that happen. If one of you is an immigrant and you want citizenship status, that's a good reason to get married. Right, but yeah, as far as like an institution of like love, which I would honestly argue that marriage was never about love. Marriage in the 21st century is about love.
Yeah, correct.
People are like, oh, I love you. But if you go back even as recently as 1924, it's 2024, 100 years ago, marriage was about transfer of property. Yeah, still is in a lot of countries.
The marriage laws back in the day are unhinged.
Oh,
like
man.
marital rape was okay. Like you couldn't like prosecute your husband if he raped you if you were married.
You could get married
you
at
couldn't
like
own property. Like it was insane.
You could get married at like 12.
Yeah.
Like 12 years old. Up until 1975, women could not open a bank account without their husband's signature. 1975, that was not that long ago. It was less than 50 years ago.
Holy shit.
So women could not open a bank account without the signature of their partner, generally a husband.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I feel like a lot of women in the like mid-century, the like traditional housewives are seen as like looking very done up, like very pretty, and they had expensive clothes and they had expensive jewelry, right? Like that was always the thing. That was always like a gift for women is jewelry.
Yeah.
Because they needed something that they could sell.